Hello everyone, welcome to the Financial Information channel. In this video I'm going to give you information about bottom fishing in the stock market. And at some point we all want to get the best value when we start investing in the stock market. So you will hear the term bottom fishing, that the stock has hit the bottom, but in reality it is really hard to get an idea what is the actual bottom of a company. So even though that you can actually find the lowest point, there's no way that you will be able to find out if the stock is gonna bounce back or if it's gonna continue going down. And one of the reasons is that the stock market acts irrational at times. So what I usually do is I usually read the stock charts and get an idea if the stock market is gonna consolidate, which means it's gonna move sideways. And I also pay attention to some of the stock market news of that company, because if you find a good catalyst, the stock is gonna bounce back. And I'm going to show you 3 examples so you can get an idea how hard it is to predict the bottom of a stock. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at the Macy's stock. This is a retailer. I'm gonna change the period from daily to weekly. Now basically what it means, let's say that you start investing in Macy's right in August. The stock was around 54, and I believe when the stock had this drop, it was during earnings. So let's say that you have position in Macy's in 2015 and then you saw this drop, and this huge amount, it was from $45 all the way to 36, and then you waited for the company to consolidate, basically means to move sideways, and then you started to buying shares right at the price of $33. And even though that it was a good price back in December, because the stock started to move higher, but as you saw, the company had another drop back in May. It went from 35 all the way to around 29. So it had another sell-off when the company reported earnings. And as you see, this is the bottom after the earnings, but this only works when you are doing swing trading, because over the long term, as you see, the company is going down. The company has been moving in the opposite direction. As you see, the stock is repeating the pattern. It continues to sell off after the earnings. It bounced back after the earnings a few months, and then once the company announces earnings, it drops even more, and then it continues moving up, and then after the company announces earnings, it drops a huge amount. Now the last time it only consolidated, as you saw here, but it had another drop, and it's gonna probably repeat the same time, consolidate and drop. So I wouldn't suggest to bottom fish a stock when the stock is going down, because you don't know when the true bottom is gonna be for that company. But now let's take a look at AMD, and we're gonna do the weekly period as well. Now this company is going in the opposite way. As you can see, the chart is moving higher, it's setting new highs. Now let's start from June. As you see, from June all the way to December, the company was just moving sideways. However, starting in February 2016, that's when this company started to move higher, and it is starting to set new highs. Even though the company sold off in September, all the way to November, it's starting to move sideways. From November all the way to what we have now on August, the company has been moving higher. Well, how do you find the bottom? I would say after the company posts the earnings, I think this was back in May, let the company run a little bit to see how it's gonna move. And then even if you buy around $11, which was around back in June, and then you let it run, you will see that at this moment you would make quite a huge return. Now let's look for another company that is setting new highs, and that's gonna be Shopify. Now this is Shopify, and the company has done really well. As you see, this in 2015, that's when the IPO was released for the company. I would wait a few months before starting investing. And in February you found the true bottom, but it's still right here in this area. I would let the company come back to the original price. Once it is back to the original price, I will let the company consolidate and maybe buy some position right here in this area. And then as you saw, it had a small run from June all the way to August. Now at this area you would let the company consolidate once again. Then you saw this area from January all the way to June, the company was overbought, but the company share price wasn't moving up. And that is one of the reasons why you want to find companies that are moving higher instead of going down. As you saw in that video, it is really hard to find the bottom of a stock. What I usually like to do is find companies that are setting new highs and then wait for a pullback, and as soon as that pullback comes, wait for the company to consolidate, because you will see the company trading sideways, and then when you read the chart that the stock is starting to move higher and also it has good catalyst news for the company, then that's a good way that you can invest. And well, that is gonna be everything for the video. Please leave in the comment sections below what did you think about bottom fishing. In a few words, it is possible, but it is very hard to execute. And as always, you can subscribe to the financial information channel. I want to continue bringing videos about the stock market, personal finance, and how to make money online. Have an excellent day and take care, my friends.